we've shown some restraint in the past years that have helped too.
Yeah, on the road fund, the graph that showed how the fund balance is going down, partially what that reflects is under federal law, secure rural schools funding is tapering off each year. And so the revenues to the road fund are declining on an annual basis. And eventually, secure rural schools sunsets. You had a presentation a month ago regarding efforts that are already underway to try to reauthorize secure rural schools at the federal level so that it doesn't just end. So we do have an issue, and it's not unique to this county. I think it's probably statewide on roads that as a society, I believe we are underinvesting in our road infrastructure and other infrastructure, both human and physical, to provide for the future. And so the issue and concern raised by Mr. Tiersch is a legitimate one. So in taking bank capacity now, we at least, while for 2010, and if we don't need it, we won't take it in 2011. Potentially, though, 2011 we may need it as well. Our intent is not to take it thereafter, and so that the road fund overall comes out ahead from where it is today if bank capacity were not taken. Certainly strongly agree that this is something that we cannot and must not do on an ongoing basis.
And you're not allowed to do it on an ongoing basis. Both the levy shift and the diversion have to be annual decisions by the board. It doesn't just keep going. You have to make that decision every year.
You know, I particularly want to thank you, Phil, for this presentation and make it clear. There's a lot of people that actually believe since 1033 did not fail, that the county's problems are over, you know, and with 695 and 747, we all know that we're, well, a long-term problem here. Phil Lyman actually made the comment when he was talking about 1033 that the counties are not suffering at all from the passage of 695 and 747.
Remember, I don't have any problem with your statement. However, remember that 695 was overturned by the courts. It's the legislature that reimposed.
The legislature,
okay.
Yes,
and 747 was overturned by the court, and the legislature reimposed it. So even though I might be willing to listen to some people talk about the effect that Mr. Imans had, the truth is that the legislature came back and reimposed both of those themselves.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to clarify that, sorry.
And the legislature funded a study of county physical health that they now have sitting there for over a year with little action on it.
Yeah.
It's on the CTED website.
It'll be interesting because, the truth be told, I think one of the other public comments is that you can't really count on the state and stuff. I'm more comfortable when those guys aren't in session, to be honest with you. But the reality is that given their own budget constraints in their court case on school funding that Mike Blair is leading and stuff, that I agree. There's not going to be much hope of the state doing much to assist us. But there probably will be. Philip's right. There probably will have to, at some point in time, be something out to the voters of Jefferson County. Are you willing to support, let's say, parks or rec or a law and justice levy or whatever the case may be, and then we'll get to hear from them. But that might be necessary down the road.
Well, we're in I don't know if you could call it a disaster or a crisis, and it's interesting to me, historically, disasters and crises that we've seen in our own lifetime, before our lifetimes, it's when we see human behavior at its worst and at its best. You know, whether it's a hurricane with people looting or a hurricane with people helping each other, putting their own lives at risk. And I'm very grateful for the work that has happened prior to this presentation. You know, for the help that you've given Jack and Philip for getting out there and eliciting the support of the staff and the other elected officials. This could be a really horrible battle today if it hadn't been for the groundwork that had been done. And I want to speak a little bit about a comment on the physical infrastructure. And you know, we saw that part of the Bay Bridge fell down not too long ago, and we drive around roads and bridges here, and we can see them at various states of decay. It wasn't that long ago that a freeway fell into the river in St. Paul, Minneapolis. And that's very, very visible and dramatic. But what is not so visible and not immediately dramatic is the deterioration of the human infrastructure. And it's very painful to see us having to reduce programs like the Nurse Family Partnership, because what we're making is an investment in our children in the future. And I heard the words, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Well, I certainly get worried at the concept of robbing our children in order to live a little bit easier now. I think that we're cutting back, raising our revenue right now. We still have a lot more investment to make, I think, for the future. So yes, I agree that it's a shame that we're not able to invest as much as we'd like to in the physical infrastructure. But I think we cannot abandon the human infrastructure, those people who can't really speak very articulately for themselves because they're intra-utero or haven't learned how to talk yet.